welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Brittany and today I'm going to be sharing with you my January 2025 bullet journal setup. Now I have already lined it and filled everything in, so this is more likely just going to be a flip, but I am going to stop at each spread, tell you a little bit about the supplies I used, and then maybe like the grid spacing if you're interested, and also where I got some of the quotes and things that I used. So I'm just going to put my supplies off to the side for now, and then let's get this started. I did, to make things go a little bit quicker, use some stamps and some printables to kind of help, because I was a little behind after setting up my beginning spreads of my journals. And the reason why I was behind on that excuse me, is because this year I had both my start of the year and my end of the year journals, and so I thought that it would be easier if I just went ahead and set them up the same all at once. This way, and the second half of the year, all I'll have to do is reach for that bullet journal and get started with my July spread. So that took a little bit longer, but I will say that I do really like that setting that up, that process. So I think I'm going to continue doing that for future years. And so I've turned to this last beginning spread to show you how my stamps came through. Now I was using, let me grab it real quick, this Archival ink watering can Ranger pad to do this. And basically my tip for that, to prevent that bleed through, these are the stamps I was using, is to get a scrap piece of paper that you have off to the side and do a initial stamp on the scrap paper, and then stamp like the ghost of it into your book, and then that doesn't really happen. And I'll show you the difference that makes when I get in here. So for January, I said I was going to do a tea theme, and this is what I came up with. Now, I did decide to use a little bit of a poem rather than a quote for my opening spread. I have used London Gifty stickers that a friend gifted to me. She actually signed up for their Christmas Advent that they did for 2024, and very generously for each day of the Advent, she shared some of the stickers from each collection with me. And so you'll see these throughout the spread. And these are those stamps that I was just showing you. I'll list those below, and any other supplies that I can think of if you're interested. And then this little border I did with that new TWSBI pen that I recently did a video on inking and giving my first impression of. And so off to the side where I did my month, I used a font. Now this font, I'm probably not going to say it right, but it is Buri, and I think it kind of has like a Norse mythology type feel to it. So that's what that is. And I just went on to my Silhouette Portrait design studio, printed that off on copy paper, and then I took my little book light and put it under the page and traced it, and then I used a Tombow Finesque pen to color that in, and that is used throughout also. And then one of my goals for 2025 for my bullet journals is to use my fountain pens more in my spreads, as well as to use up some of the materials that I have art supplies wise. And so I'm going to be using stickers more often, and my rubber stamps. But my quote that I have is the author's unknown. I did change it slightly. I'll read it to you real quick. It says, "I think all I need when feeling down is a really good book and a hot cup of tea and a sweater that is 3 sizes too big." And I have a little upside down G. I have tilted L's, tilted I's, and S's. I just think that that adds to the charm of it, so I left it like that. And then the change that I made was where it says tea, it says coffee in the poem that I used, so I switched that out. Moving forward, I am doing something new. I've created a tea log, so for every cup of tea that I make in January, I'm going to be saving the tag from the bag, and that is going to get put in here for my tea log. And then I have made little 5-star review stickers that I'm going to put underneath one of each of them and rate them. And then off to the side here, again, I used those letter stamps to do my days of the week and the dates for each. This is just a center grid spacing division, and then I used some more of those stickers. Now these stamps here are when I started to do that ghosting, where I would put the first or initial stamp down on a scrap piece of paper, and then I would come in, and as you can see, there's a little bit of bleed with the typewriter, not much, and then with the days there's hardly any at all. I don't notice it. So that's the first week. I really like too how I had a perfect 4-day start to the month for the spacing. The next spread is a continuation of the weeks, and for this one I didn't have any washi sticker paper left, so I just used Vellum, and I printed using that same font a quote, and this one's by Shelby Dursa. Hope I said that right. And it reads, "Give me a quiet life, one where I can hear the trees rustling in the wind, raindrops on the windows, pages of a book being turned, tea being brewed, and the heartbeats of the ones that I love." And then I just, again, used some of those stickers and a London Gifty sticker off to the side here. Added some florals. You know I love my florals. But yeah, I tried to use quotes or poems that had to deal with tea or made mention of tea. And again, I'm using that TWSBI for the borders of each of the boxes. And then this black border, I'm just using a micron pen to do that. The next week is laid out a little bit differently. This poem, the author is unknown, but it's called A Poem for Tea. And it reads, "When the world is at odds and the mind is at sea, then cease the useless tedium and brew a cup of tea. There is magic in its fragrance, there is solace in its taste, and the laden moments vanish somehow into space. The world becomes a lovely thing, there's beauty as you'll see, all because you briefly stop to brew a cup of tea." And then of course I used some more of those London Gifty stickers for my friend. Some florals. This here is a roller stamp, and I'm trying to use it up. I got that in Stationery Selection monthly subscription box, and so I thought that it just added because it has kind of a black and white feel this month. Then the next week is laid out a little bit differently, but it's the same as the previous. Not the previous, but the one before the previous. And this quote is by Leo Tolstoy, and it reads, "I must drink lots of tea or I cannot work. Tea unleashes the potential which slumbers in the depths of my soul." And then of course I used some more stickers. And very happily I did go through the rest of my Pipstick stickers that I had for teacups and some of my washi from Sticky Club, so I was very happy that I got to use those. And then the next spread gets into the end of the week, so I put it all on one page because there were only 6 days in that last week of the month. And then I created my mood tracker. And so for this I just did little tea bags that I'm going to color in, and then for the color assignment I used those new dot markers that I've mentioned before on the channel, and I did have one filled in with a zebra mild liner. And then excuse me, each tea bag is drawn with a micron pen, And then I use those stamps again. I have some stickers. This is a London Gifties. This is a Sticky Club sticker. So again, using that same font as previously mentioned, and a little sticker decoration. Moving forward, I have the music and movies layouts, again with some stickers and some of the roller stamps. I was going to do a highlight of every other line, but then I decided not to in case I go into 2 columns. I do already have some of the January music that is in Alex Rainbird's release for their playlist for January picked out that I'm going to have on here, and it'll probably take me about right here. So I'm really glad that I didn't do the highlight, because already I haven't finished that playlist. I think it's probably going to go into 2 columns. So that's why I did that. And then I have the month in Polaroid spread. Now this one, because I did notice when I was doing the font by hand, even with the light, the assistance of the book light, it was too difficult for me to decipher the lines of the letters when I had already filled in the previous page. So this one I just printed on some vellum, and then I pasted it down with that glue runner. And this is the double adhesive tape runner that I use for that. And so you might have noticed here and there in my spreads I have typewriters, and that is because there is a typewriter day or acknowledgement for the month of January. So I wanted to include that because I do have 2 typewriters, and that's also why I was using the typewriter key stamps. And then I just kind of had it subdued in the background of tea. So tea is still the main theme for January, but there's a tiny little shout out to typewriters. But that's what I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed a flip / description of January, where my inspiration came from, and some of the materials that I used to set it up. I will try to list as many of them as I can in the description below so that you know what they are, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!